Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lucifer Within Us. Tonight, we study the nature of crime and see if we can deduce the reality of what has happened. Welcome, darling. Congratulations on being first. How are you doing today? A 100 years without murder. 100 years without demonic possession. Then, face. I am Sister Ada, exorcist and investigator. This is my testament to the massacre at St. Walpurgis Abbey. It is truth. Do not believe the lies of my accusers.
Sister Ada, welcome. I am Virgil, Chief Inquisitor at St. Walpurgis Abbey. We may be in need of your talents as an exorcist. You can survey the evidence yourself, but I think you will agree.
Has there truly been a murder?
It seems so. A respected priestess, Mother Miriam, passed this morning under suspicious circumstances.
Suspicious, you say?
A demon may be present. Here, even now, possessing someone.
What happened, exactly?
Mother Miriam was only recently appointed as successor to Abbot Gregory. This morning, she came to the workshop to receive her coronet of office.
Something went wrong with the installation.
Yes, to put it mildly, the coronet oversurged, killing Mother Miriam. Brace yourself for the sight.
Then, the workshop operators, Gideon and Reuben, are the prime suspects. They are brothers, right?
Yes, but it's highly out of character for Gideon or Reuben to kill someone.
You did say that there might be a demon involved.
Even so, they were the only ones present when Mother Miriam died.
Daemons nurture our sinful desires into unthinkable actions, Virgil. One of the brothers has surely been seduced by a daemon. Whichever it is, I will unmask his lies and cast out the daemon within him.
May Einsoft's will be done. Amen.
To exorcise a daemon, we must uncover 4 things. First, the suspect. We must identify which sinner is possessed by a daemon. Second, the opportunity. When exactly was the murder committed? We can pinpoint the opportunity by analyzing each suspect's testimonies. Third, the means by which the murder has been committed. The means can be found among the physical evidence at the scene of the incident. Fourth, the motive of the murderer, which can be found in their inner world, their sanctum. The motive will tell us which daemon possesses the sinner.
Very well. Let us begin our holy work.
Let's start talking to the brothers.
This is madness! I will not suffer this injustice! I am Gideon the Grand, the greatest cybernetician of our generation. I am blessed. I don't know what went wrong this morning. My hands are guided by the divine.
I see only gaudy trinkets here. Mother Miriam died by your hands. Is that not so?
Mother Miriam came to me for her consecration ceremony. I've performed this many times before, so I was confident. To prepare for the ceremony, I ordered Reuben to take Mother Miriam to the consecration chamber. Meanwhile, I adjusted the cornet's amplifier. To prepare for the ceremony, I ordered Reuben to take Mother Miriam to the Mother Miriam came to me for her...
Alright.
Meanwhile, I adjusted the cornet's amplification at my work table, and then placed it on Mother Miriam's head. We began by closing our eyes and praying together to Ein Sof. I thought I heard the chamber open, but didn't think much of it.
There are footsteps still going on.
Then I activated the consecration chamber and began the ceremony itself. The aether output was within safe ranges.
Oh. Well, there's a physical evidence. Alright, please go on the recipient in the chamber. One will pray in silence. Begin the song some modulating the ether. This is the ether will bring performance to a crescendo. Body is unharmed. So we can look at both. Use open close the consultation chamber. Outside the chamber. Twice. As we do have both. Alright, important. Let's apply some of the control panel. Activate this and control the consecration chamber. Well beyond safe ranges. Very interesting. So now I found something. So how do we dispose of it?
An exorcist? Surely there are no demons here, though. This was an accident, wasn't it?
We would like to think so.
If Gideon is possessed, that would mean he did it on purpose. Horrible.
You must be the elder brother.
Yes, my name is Ruben Garamond. I am responsible for the engineering and design of our implants.
How did Mother Miriam die, exactly?
It was a completely preventable accident. Mother Miriam died because Gideon deliberately flouted the ceremonial guidelines for his own glory. Gideon may be my flesh and blood, but he must take responsibility for his negligence.
Well, let's hear your recount of events.
Mother Miriam came to us to receive a consecration ceremony, but she wanted something extravagant. Gideon suggested setting the coronet to have maximum ether output. I warned him that doing so is highly dangerous.
It does sound like that indeed.
Gideon convinced her to move forward with the ceremony anyway. Since he was going to handle everything, I went back to my tasks. When Gideon activated the consecration chamber, I immediately felt something was wrong. I begged Gideon to stop, but he didn't listen.
Right. Mhm. So we don't go further on. Alright, let's start with getting some corroboration here. Why indeed?
Mother Miriam came to me for her consecration ceremony. I've performed this. To prepare for the ceremony, I ordered Reuben to take. Meanwhile, I adjusted the coronet's amplification at my work table, and then placed it on Mother Miriam's head.
Temporarily remove the limiter.
We began by closing our eyes and praying together to I.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alright, let's see what we can learn. Ah, narcissist. Mm-hmm. Alright, let's chat with the Reuben for a moment. I think more specificity here.
To prepare for the
Gideon convinced her to move forward with the ceremony anyway.
Hmm. We have a consistent timeline here.
But since Gideon was going to handle...
Alright, what can we learn about your sanctum? Okay, so you are a believer.
When Gideon acted... Since Gideon was going to handle everything, I went back to my tasks.
Let's chat more with you for a moment. And who is this Augustine? Okay. Tell me about the consecration ceremony. Hmm.
Meanwhile, I adjusted the coronet's amplification at my work table, and then placed it on Mother Miriam's head. The aether output was dangerously high, but I had the chamber under control.
I mean...
Meanwhile, I adjusted the coronet's amplification at my work table, and then placed it on Mother Miriam's head.
Okay, let's put the control panel for the moment. And the door controls. So we have Gideon's perspective on events. So what are your thoughts on Miriam? Your thoughts on Gideon? Alright, so what can you tell me about the limiter?
Since Gideon was going to handle... When Gideon... Since Gideon's...
Why is that typical? Alright, we'll also ask you about these elements. Okay. So we need to figure out the contradictions here.
Meanwhile, I adjust. With the aether output was dangerous.
Let's contradict
Mother
this
Miriam came to me
with...
for her consecration ceremony. I've performed this many.
There we are, here's an important next step. I mean, was he, given the result?
Mother Miriam came to me for her consecration ceremony. I've performed this many times before, so I was confident.
That's a little bit of information to inquire about.
But Gideon suggested setting the coronet to have maximum ether output. I warned him that doing so is highly dangerous. When Gideon activated the consecration chamber, I immediately...
Would not hold up. So... let's go for an active... let's go for... let's try to get an accusation on the other brother for a moment. Because you do have an opportunity. So we need more information there. Alright, so we do have some more information about putting this together here. That was the accusation. Or a skeptic. Hmm. And we do lack... a clear methodology for that. You definitely qualify as ambitious.
With the aether output was dangerously high, but... we began by closing our eyes and praying together to Ein Sof. I thought I heard the chamber open, but didn't think much of it.
I need to get more information about the time you were working.
Since Gideon...
More information about the
We
prayer.
began
Oh no, we already did. Must have imagined it. So we would need...
Since Gideon was going to handle
let's try to-
everything, I went back to my tasks.
That's always really... Oh, actually, no, this does work. Right, clarify further.
Since Gideon was going to handle everything, I went back to my tasks. So I opened the consecration chamber to verify that the coronet was in working order. Everything seemed fine, so I returned to my desk again. So I...
What were you checking, indeed?
Everything seemed fine, so I returned to my desk again.
Because we're still at that point. Well, let's go ahead and ask.
We began by...
Okay, so no further information about that. However, it does also mean that we do indeed need to provide an accusation opportunity. But we do not have a motive. We need another tidbit from... Oh, no, we actually can get another bit of psychology from you. Envy. All right.
Ein Sof sees all, Reuben. You killed Mother Miriam to frame Gideon and take him down a peg. With Gideon gone, a daemon whispered that people would finally recognize you for your genius.
I do have a feeling that it would be Lothar.
I am older than Gideon. My work is better than Gideon, and more important. But no one sees my work. No one understands my work.
Confess, Reuben. Tell us what the daemon made you do. corruption runs deep within Reuben's soul. Yet Reuben may still be saved. I must speak the daemon's true name. Then the daemon will be cast out. Ein Sof, guide me. What daemon has possessed Reuben?
Lotan the Envious.
Lotan, leave this soul and return whence you came.
Magnificently done, Madam Exorcist.
The power of Ein Sof compels you, Lotan. Leave this soul and return to the ether.
Thousands of years, and you humans never change. Never satisfied. Always comparing, wanting more. Someone else is always richer, prettier, wiser, better. Nothing can ever fill that void within you. Not even me.
Silence, Lotan. Reuben may yet be redeemed. You are a scourge. Without your influence, a good woman would still be alive. Leave humans be, Lotan. I banish you to the ether.
As you wish, but I'll return soon enough. My prince and master Lucifer walks among you. Lucifer will open the gates of hell, and at last, humanity will remember its full potential. Until then, Madam Exorcist, adieu.
Come forth, Reuben. What remains of you?
Thank.
He's silent and still. Poor soul. Rest, Reuben. Heal, if you can.
Sister Ada, you've returned. Was there a demon at work after all?
There was indeed.
I'm afraid so. The exorcism was a success. Reuben's soul has been purged. Unfortunately, the daemon was difficult to cleanse. Reuben is returned to pure innocence.
What? The exorcism shattered his mind? Can you bring him back?
It's out of my hands. If Ein Sof wills it, maybe Reuben will heal.
Guards, please escort this shell to the cryostasis cellar. I pray for his swift recovery. Abbot Gregory!
Praise be to Ein Sof, Sister Ada. You have saved us all. On behalf of everyone at St. Walpurgis, I express our utmost gratitude.
We are not yet safe. We must act quickly until we locate the source of the demonic influence. We don't understand yet why daemons would act after 100 years. Holy Father, we must quarantine the abbey and the surrounding town immediately. Detain and interrogate anyone who seems suspicious.
We can try, Sister Ada, but it will be difficult, as we have visitors arriving hourly. Much like yourself, pilgrims from afar are here to celebrate Walpurgisnacht. It's such a shame Mother Miriam couldn't bear witness to it.
Ah, yes. The priestess. We must destroy her body immediately. Traces of demonic influence may remain from her contact with Reuben.
No, Sister Ada, thank you for your concern, but we absolutely cannot. Mother Miriam was a prominent figure and well-loved, with decades of service. We must treat her body with dignity and give her a proper burial. Send Mother Miriam's body to the mortuary for embalming.
Your Excellency, we really ought to take the advice of the exorcist.
Mother Miriam's body has been desecrated enough, Virgil. Send her to the mortuary, now.
As you command, Your Excellency.
Holy Father, you are making a grave mistake.
Sister Ada, don't worry yourself. All will be well. St. Walpurgis' triumph over Lucifer has brought us a century of peace and bliss. It's horrifying that a demon was exorcised from our abbey, but surely it was the final remnant.
The daemon within Reuben spoke of Lucifer's return. Lucifer's ways are insidious. Even the most devout among us have temptations.
It's a shame Brother Reuben fell to the demon. But the rest of my flock is stronger. Faith shall be their shield.
If you say
Now,
so.
please excuse me. This evening's mass requires my attention. We are honored by your presence, Sister Ada. Praise be to Ein Sof.
Even the Holy Father can be foolish then.
Or compromised.
Sof. Let it not be true that Lucifer walks. But if it is, Ein Sof, guide me. that I may unmask all lies, no matter how painful.
The demon's final words haunted me. Lucifer was already among us. I wanted to destroy Mother Miriam's body to purge any traces of demonic influence. Abbot Gregory did not heed my words. Mother Miriam must be given a proper burial. That afternoon, Inquisitor Virgil sent for me, asking urgently to meet him at the graveyard.
Praise Ein Sof. Thank you for coming to our aid so quickly, Sister Ada.
You said it was urgent. Has something happened to Mother Miriam's body?
No, in some ways, that would have been easier. There is now a second untimely death.
Another murder. On the very same day. This can't be a coincidence.
That isn't for me to say, but this time, the victim is a younger acolyte named Isaac. His remains were found in the grave that was dug for Mother Miriam. Poor kid's throat was slit.
Gruesome. Who was at the graveyard when the body was found?
Only 3 people were present this afternoon. A scholar, an embalmer, and a grave tender. Father Augustine is a scholar, visiting for Mother Miriam's funeral. The victim was his apprentice. Sister Nerissa, an embalmer with a sterling reputation, preparing Mother Miriam's body for burial. Finally, Abraham, the grave tender, a layman who has kept the grounds of the abbey for many years. None of them say they were near the grave until after the body was discovered.
Which means someone is lying. No matter. Ein Sof sees all. We will unmask their lies and bring the truth forward. I swear it.
Alright. So here's presumably the murder weapon. It's found in Noble's grave. Is it ether scanner? Ah. More of the herb. Surgical multi-tool as well. Seeing all the physical evidence at the crime scene directly.
You must be Father Augustine. The victim was your apprentice, correct?
Correct. And you are Sister Ada, the exorcist. It is a unique pleasure.
Alright, afternoon stroll.
I arrived at the graveyard with Isaac for Mother Miriam's funeral. Isaac headed to the mortuary on a minor errand. Then
Wanted to go inside as
passed
well?
through the graveyard until I saw the statue of Saint Walpurga. What craftsmanship, and so well maintained. For most of the afternoon, I was walking through the graveyard, merely observing and admiring. At sunset, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac. I was surprised to find an open grave with something inside. I was horrified to discover that it was Isaac's dead body. That's when I called for help.
So there's more that we can find inside. Oh, graveyard schedule and footprint. More footprints and a shovel. It's not
Praise
used.
Ain Soph. You must be the famed exorcist. It is an honor, sister. I'm Nerissa, and I serve Ain Soph by preparing the dead for burial. I take pleasure in providing cleanliness and comfort for bodies after their souls have departed.
I see. Nerissa, how did you know the victim?
Not at all. The first time I saw him, he was curled in that grave, dirty and bloody. The whole afternoon, I prepared Mother Miriam's body for burial. There isn't much else to tell. Early this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the funeral scheduled for this evening. Once Abraham left, I started preparing the body for burial. I was alone the entire time. No one came by. Mid-afternoon, Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to focus. After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my humble abilities. Just after dark, I heard a scream from the back field. A dead body was found.
Alright, now we need to talk to Abraham, then we'll get the final perspective.
Release me! I had nothing to do with that boy.
You must be Abraham, the grave tender. As the grave tender, any crimes that took place here are your responsibility. If you are truly innocent, hide nothing, and tell me what happened. We'll find the truth together.
I spent the early afternoon tending to the bushes by the mortuary. When I headed back to the mortuary, Nerissa told me there was nothing else special to do for the day. So I left her to her work. I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches. I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench. I walked through the...
Welcome back, darling. How are you doing today? Alright, we already have you here. Let's get some information about you and your events.
I spent the early afternoon tending...
I'm very much here to the moment. Indeed, Asha's definitely taken Zeta quite well. Right, you already have one lie presented. Okay, so we now have greater specificity for a lot of things here.
Nerissa told me there'd be an urgent funeral in the evening. I'm not usually told who it's for. So I picked up the shovel and went down to the rear plot to dig a new grave. The ground was hard. Took me some time to dig that hole.
Welcome, Ash. How are you doing today?
I took a long break while digging. It's within my rights. There wasn't anyone else around, so it was nice and peaceful. Then I got back to it and finished digging the grave. When the grave was ready, I walked back to the mortuary to let Nerissa know. When I headed back to the mortuary, Nerissa told me there was nothing else special to do for the day. So I left her to her work. I walked through.
There's one of the tame bit. So one of the things we can definitely already recognize as far as contradictions.
Once Abraham left, I started.
Nonetheless,
Early this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the funeral scheduled for this evening. Grave to tell. The truth is that the apprentice did come by. He asked for a bouquet for the funeral later that day. Grave to tell. When I showed him the bouquet, he held it for a moment and then threw it on the floor. I suppose it wasn't to his master's tastes. I forgot to pick it back up. Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields before the funeral, so I led him out the back exit.
so what have we learned about you in the process? There's nothing that ties into that currently. Let's get one more bit of information and then start to inquire more properly. What is your information as well? So you believe in integrity. Let's get more of your insights into a number of things. She was indeed.
I walked.
So you're going to be elsewhere at the time.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
Okay, so you were taking a stroll. Let's see.
For most of the afternoon, I was walking through the graveyard.
Oh, we don't really have much evidence on that, now, do we? But we can. It's been a direction we can lean into in general at the moment. Because they should be able to
I
actually.
spent the remainder of the afternoon.
They claim to be around the same point. Well, let's get more information on you in general. And your thoughts on things. So currently no one has the opportunity to have done so. Unrestricted access granted. Why were you granted unrestricted access? Because we can jump into here freely now. Alright. So there's a nice degree of specificity to that.
The truth is,
I arrived at the grave.
There really is not much that's providing you with any sort of assistance at the moment.
early this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the
Narissa told me there'd be an urgent...
That is fair.
early
It's
this
not thinking
afternoon.
most will be from Narissa. Alright. So we have a strange liver.
I arrived at the graveyard with Isaac for Mother Miriam's funeral. Isaac headed to the mortuary on a For most...
We're not directly doing anything else.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
That shouldn't clear out.
I walked through the mortuary. When I headed back to the mortuary, I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches. When I headed back to the mortuary, when the grave was ready, I walked back to the and I got back to it and finished. When the grave was ready, I walked back to the and I got
Guys will contradict from that. So a conflict's been released.
Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields before. Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields.
Then I passed through the graveyard until I saw the statue of...
So one of them is... Fine, we don't have any evidence to really push things either way.
At sunset, I wandered to the back air. For most of the afternoon, I arrived at the graveyard with eyes. Then I passed.
Okay, so what do you think about the bouquet?
When I showed him the bouquet,
I don't have a contradiction on Augustine in the slightest. So there is no corroboration for either of these events at the moment.
the truth.
There are two opportunities?
So I picked up the shovel
Right.
and went down.
And similarly, and I got the shovel at the time.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon.
After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my humble abilities.
There's only a contradiction there. No provating with strange liver currently. Yeah, it does tie into... I feel like we're missing so many bits of information as far as what is actually going on. Even if I solve the case with that, I don't feel like I'm really solving the case. So what if we try to
Early this afternoon,
contradict
I
with the
informed
footprints?
Abraham of After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my humble abilities.
I don't have any more information on it though, which is strange, don't you think? Okay, so... I'm over here and interacted with the liver.
After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the... After Abraham left, I noticed that my multi-tool wasn't in my pocket. I searched all over the mortuary for it, but it was missing.
Alright, what else can we learn about him?
I did what I could without making new incisions, but that made things slower and messier. I'm not pleased with the results.
Alright, let's find where the multi was again. That's a signal. Ether book was there.
When the grave was ready, I walked back to the mortuary to let Nerissa know. The ground was hard. Took me some time to dig that hole.
Then I passed through the grave.
Let's inquire
Show
about
him
your
the
carnival
bouquet.
status. Yeah, no, you are definitely... We definitely know it was you. But we need another tidbit about you. Specifically, we need confirmation of carnivore going to cannibalism to survive famine.
For most of the afternoon, I was walking through the graveyard.
After Abraham left, I noticed that my multi-tool wasn't in my pocket. I searched all over the mortuary for it, but it was missing.
I walked through the mortuary.
And what was she distracted by?
Then I got back to it and
So we have no... So the only people we can...
I walked through. I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
Supposedly. So one of these tools is incorrect. None of which has any degree of specificity.
I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches.
So mostly navigating...
After Abraham...
Convenient that you to...
The truth is that the apprentice did...
You two have no way of really interacting with one another until this point.
I did what I could without making new incisions, but that made things slow. After Abraham left, I noticed that my multi-tool wasn't in my pocket. I searched all over the...
What do we have that contradicts anything that Augustine has said? Because we have no insight into you. I know it's not you who did it, however... Don't have means or motive. Accusation of means. We don't have motive. Definitely has no tie into any of that.
The ground was hard. Took me some time to dig that hole.
There's no
For
information.
most of the afternoon,
Okay. Gives a bit of specificity to it, at least. Okay, now we have great specificity here. Round of disappointment.
At sunset, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac. It took me a little while, but I found it. The grave of Sergius. I placed my scanner in front of the gravestone. It would take some time to decode the etchings. Then I saw a stranger pass by. He was tall, barrel-chested. I think he was the groundskeeper. Afterwards, I waited by the grave for my scanner to complete its task. It was taking longer than I expected, so I had to leave it. When the sun was setting, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac and begin the funeral.
Alright, let's
Spent the remainder. I walked
have a
into the
chat with
mortuary,
you.
Then headed down. When I passed by the grave, it was still empty, ready for the funeral. I walked through the walls to reach the front field. I suppose that's when the scholar saw me. I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
This is about the grave, yeah? So related to Sergius the Heretic. No proof of any of that, at least.
Afterwards, I waited by... When the sun was setting, I wandered to the back area. Afterwards, I waited...
So we know where he went in reality, but we don't have proof of it.
Then I saw a straight... Afterwards, I waited by the grave for my scanner to complete its task. It was taking long.
We can actually. Oh, let's chat with you. Go to Abraham.
I spent...
Indeed. I will leave with the sickle as a weapon. Indeed, I know you're innocent, but we do need more information all in all. Do we not?
I have it with. And then,
After Abraham left, I knew I did what I could with. After Abraham left, I noticed that my multi-tool wasn't in my pocket. I searched all over the mortuary for it, but it was missing. I did after Abraham. When I showed him the bouquet, he held it for a moment and then threw. Then the boy asked.
When the grave was ready, I walked back to the mortuary. Then I got back.
Afterwards, I waited by the. When the sun was setting, I wandered to the back air and.
To the one of the grave.
I spent the remainder of the.
Looks like a dog got to what you say.
I walked.
After Abraham left, I know. I did what I could without making new incisions. When I showed him the bouquet, he held it for a moment and then threw it on the floor. I suppose it wasn't too. Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear fields before the funeral, so I led him out the back exit. Mid-afternoon, Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to. Mid-afternoon, Abraham barged.
So there's still. Do you know anything about ramping? No, of course not.
I did what I could without making new incisions. but that made things slower and messier. I'm not pleased with the results. Just after dark, I heard a scream. I did what I could without making new incisions, but that made things slower and messier. I'm not pleased with the results.
I'm supposed to get it through.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
So whatever the other debate going on.
I took a long break while digging. The ground was hard. Then I got back to it and finished digging the grave. I took a long break while digging. It's within...
Then I...
It wouldn't be strange if they were Isaacs, wouldn't it? It was indeed fairly unsightly.
When I showed him the bouquet, he held it for a moment and then threw it on the floor. I suppose it wasn't to his master's.
You ought to smooth me with that we're missing tidbits on. Though we do still need to get
I did what I could without
answers
making new
from
incisions.
Abraham about the
I
bench.
spent the remainder...
Afterwards, I waited by the grave for my scanner to complete its task. When the sun was setting, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac and begin the funeral. I was horrified to discover that it was at sun. I was horrified.
Suddenly, I heard someone call. I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a...
That's what it looked like. Ah. Well, we do need to figure out how to get... I suppose we need information more from...
The ground was hard.
There's some sort of contradiction.
It took me a little while, but I found it. The grave of Sergius.
Is there some part of this puzzle that I'm missing?
It took me a little while, but I found it. The grave of Serges. Then I saw a stranger pass by. He was tall, barrel-chested. Afterwards, I waited by the grave. It took me...
Have you confirming that he did not rest on the bench? We have no way of actually providing information about that. Some sort of additional evidence. We don't seem to be able to have access. So something left to be uncovered. Raises the question of what exactly? Well, now, I suppose that's the bit that we should probably need then. Alright. Yep, there we are.
I was desperate to find the tool to finish my work. I tried searching outside, but I couldn't find anything in the rain. I did what I could with... I was desperate to find the tool to finish my work. I tried searching outside. I did what I could.
We're still missing... a contradiction on you and on Abraham. But naturally we won't be able to find... the weapon for you because you have none.
Then I passed through the graveyard until I saw the statue of Saint Walpurga. What craftsmanship, and so well maintained. It took me a little...
When the grave was ready, I walked back to the mortuary to let Nerissa know.
Well, if we... Yeah, no, definitely not. You have no motive for this.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
Because those are for... Wait, hold on.
Afterwards, I waited.
What's the contradict you
I
with the
spent the
sickle?
remainder of the afternoon rest.
Here we are. That's what I was missing.
I had a sickle with me because I wanted to trim the grass around a grave in the front field.
Afterwards, I waited by the grave for my.
Is there anything else that we can put together as far as evidence we've discovered and locations therein? No. He does just leave the accusation.
Ain Suf sees all, Nerissa. You are the only person who could have killed Isaac. Do you deny it?
Curse you, and curse Ain Suf. How can the eye see all? Does it see my suffering? Where was Ain Suf when my family was dying in the street? Chewing on leather just to live another day?
The famine was a test, Nerissa. Ain Suf wanted you to demonstrate your faith, your will to live.
Is that how it's going to be going?
Have you ever felt true hunger? When you haven't eaten for days, reality shifts. The body needs.
We all have our challenges set out before us, Nerissa. Some more difficult than others.
Do you think I was the only one that fed on human flesh?
It's not for me to judge what you did back then. That's between you and your confessor. But today, you murdered an innocent youth so that you could feed on his liver. A daemon has possessed you. Confess, Nerissa. Speak the truth. It is time.
Early this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the funeral scheduled for this evening. I'm in a grave to tell. The truth is, that boy did come by. He asked for a bouquet for the funeral later that day. When I brought him to the bouquet table, I don't know what came over me. The hunger clenched my belly suddenly. I've seen the butchers do it. It only took a quick slash to his throat, and he fell to the floor. I knew where to get the best cut. His liver. It was still warm. I couldn't believe the taste. Like nothing I've eaten before. Heavenly. Then, Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to focus. My senses were returning, and I cleaned up my mess. I sealed the boy's body, putting the liver from the body I had been embalming inside and sealing it. I carried him to the new grave and quickly tossed him in. I heard someone coming, so I didn't have time to bury him. I was shaking with adrenaline. In my hurry to return to the mortuary, my multi-tool must have slipped out of my apron's pocket. I stored what was left of the liver among the other entrails, hoping to finish it later. I wanted to savor its deep, rich flavors. Sooner than I anticipated, I heard a scream from the backfield. Someone had already discovered the body.
Alright, gluttony.
This wretched soul is twisted by demonic influence. I must speak the daemon's true name. Then the daemon will be cast out and be banished to the ether. Ain Suf, guide me. What daemon has possessed Nerissa?
That is Beelzebub the glutton.
Out, Beelzebub! Leave this soul and return whence you came!
No! We must feed! Nerissa! Delicious, scrumptious little morsel. We must have more. The hunger is an endless pit. More! Speak,
Beelzebub. Why has your kind returned?
Hunger is a primal need. Just as you feed on lesser life forms, growing them in captivity for slaughter, we feed on you. The meat of your emotions, the marrow of your deepest desires.
You will prey upon us no longer, Beelzebub. Return to the ether, and never come back.
I must obey for now, but we won't be gone too long. Tonight, Lucifer will open the gates of hell. I won't be the only one allowed to feast. Ada, you juicy little morsel, we shall devour you soon. You and all the other delicacies.
Nerissa. Do you hear me, Nerissa? Was I too late? Goodbye, Nerissa. May Ain Suf make you whole again.
So this is the power of an exorcist. I've dreamed of seeing this. It looks a bit different than I imagined, however. What's happening to her?
Ada, look out!
Huh?
Halt, Nerissa! Good. I've stunned her. Are you all right, Sister Ada?
Yes. You came just in time. My thanks, Virgil.
Ein Soph, save us! Another possession! Another killing! How is this possible? Who is responsible? Virgil, you have failed us. How could you allow this to happen?
Unfortunately, Father, I believe you are primarily responsible. We should have listened to Ada. She warned us about the contaminated body, and its demons spread, just as she said.
We must act now. We can't waste any more time bickering about who's to blame. The daemon within Nerissa spoke of Lucifer's return. He walks among us.
It's perverse that they would return now on the holiest of days. Why? Are we being punished?
It doesn't matter why. The Abbey is unsafe, Father. Cancel the Mass. Send the pilgrims home. If you proceed, you are risking all their lives.
No, Father. You must stay the course. We've worked too hard for this moment. I have decoded the ancient hymn of communion. The Mass can proceed as planned.
One of you is Lucifer, one of you is Satanas.
This chance will not come again for another century. It's literally the last chance we have in our lifetimes.
What is the significance of that hymn? Why must it be sung tonight?
According to Augustine's research, it honors Saint Walpurga and her victory, in a way uniquely pleasing to Ein Sof.
I protest. But if you absolutely must hold the Mass, at least allow me to guard you at the altar. You are putting yourself in danger. What if you were possessed?
That may be unwise, Father. Surely if things are as dangerous as you say, nobody should be trusted. How do we know this supposed exorcist is not the pawn of Lucifer?
That's absurd! You witnessed the exorcism!
No, I saw her turn a woman into a rabid beast. What really transpired in the ether when she supposedly exorcised these demons? She invokes the demons' names. She knows them more intimately than any of us.
I speak their names to control them and then banish them. You know this.
Or perhaps you are being used by them. How would we know?
The only thing that possesses me is the flame of Ein Sof. I shouldn't have to defend myself.
Actually, what Augustine says makes sense. We should be extra cautious, just in case. I don't want you at the Mass. If you truly believe Lucifer lurks at my abbey, find him. Unmask him. Search the grounds as you like. But stay away from the chapel, or I will have you put in a cell. Nothing can be permitted to interrupt the Mass and the hymn, especially after the events of today. Saint Walpurga deserves to be honored for her victory.
It's definitely Valpurga that we're honoring today.
Inquisitor, Augustine, come. We have much to prepare. Very wise, Father. As always. Farewell, sister.
It would be best if you were wrong, Ada.
That's because it is. Lucifer will strike tonight, Virgil. I only pray he strikes at me instead of at the Mass. Stay vigilant.
Poisoned by Father Augustine against me, Abbot Gregory ordered I remain outside the chapel for his Mass. At midnight, the gathered pilgrims lifted their voices in praise to Ein Sof. They were cut short by a thunderous crash. Another soul taken.
Virgil, where's Abbot Gregory? What interrupted his Mass?
The abbot. His death was the interruption. A third murder, I'm afraid. The lights went out during Mass. Moments later, the statue of Saint Walpurga crashed down from the ceiling, impaling Abbot Gregory with its spear.
An assassination, then. But why? We must determine who is possessed immediately. Examining the facts will reveal Ein Sof's truth. How was the statue held in place?
Due to its weight, we had to rely on using aether-powered restraints to hang it above the altar, which means the killer must have sabotaged the 2 power generators on the balcony floor. There were only 2 people on the balcony during the Mass. I've detained them for interrogation. I've sent the pilgrims back to town, lest they panic and disturb the evidence.
Excellent work, Virgil. Who are the suspects? You said there were 2.
You already know them. Brother Gideon and Father Augustine.
Since you are a key witness to the events, I will of course hear your testimony as well. May Ein Sof show us the truth behind all of today's events.
An organ. West generator. And Devil's Apple once more. Well, we have cleansed the Abbey of Cilantro. Now should leave one core piece of evidence remaining. Oh wait. Oh, there was another one. Tabernacle remains, as well as a ritual hammer that I had overlooked. And the victim's body. I think as I'd overlooked. Alright, let us begin with Augustine.
Ah, poor Abbot Gregory. We had such hopes and plans together. If only he had listened to your sage advice, Sister Ada. Perhaps he would be safe now,
And who turned against that advice?
You. I cannot ignore that you are the link. Everything that has happened today points back to you, Augustine.
It must be a tragic coincidence. The abbot was my friend and trusted ally. I wished him no harm.
Explain your actions. What were you doing on the balcony?
With Mother Miriam's passing, Abbot Gregory needed someone to ring the ritual bell. I volunteered. It was an honor. The abbot, Virgil, and I arrived at the chapel just before the Mass. When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings. We began by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious. When the sermon started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell. I rang the bell to announce the start of communion. I rang the bell a second time. Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for someone to fix the problem. Moments later, the statue dropped from the ceiling. And I saw the abbot impaled by the statue. I'll never forget that image. That's when Virgil arrested me.
So far, so good.
This can't be happening. Yet another death? Am I to be blamed again?
Calm yourself, Gideon.
At the start of the night, I was waiting near the organ. When the Mass began, I played the entry hymn on the organ. I think I played well enough, though I didn't have much time to practice it. After the opening hymn, I listened to Abbot Gregory's sermon. It was a pretty good one. When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
We arrived shortly before the Mass began. I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell. Then, I patrolled the south balcony. Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony. As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, the lights went out. I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious. To protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion. Then, the statue's aether restraints deactivated, dropping and impaling Abbot Gregory. May he rest in peace. When I arrived at the generator, Augustine was standing nearby, smirking at the carnage he caused. I arrested him there and then.
All right. Let's get some more information on the cybernetic parts.
At the start of the night, I was waiting near the organ. When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
I rang the bell a second time. Suddenly, I saw the abbot. We began by singing the hymn of communion.
That is fair enough, I suppose.
When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, when the sermon started, I headed to the balcony to prepare.
Well, what are your thoughts on Gideon? We should see what happened to... Can be used remotely.
I suddenly.
When the ritual of...
Everything I suspected foul play. To protect the remaining generator. Everything. I began my patrol by securing.
At least to your eyes.
When I arrived at the generator, Augustine was standing nearby, smirking at the carnage he caused.
And I saw the abbot impaled by the statue.
Alright, let's get that sorted out first. Alright, your first tidbit is pride.
But I saw the abbot impaled by the statue. On the other balcony, I could see someone looking down at the altar. That's when Virgil arrested me. But then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged. Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I
Of
stood
a lot of
calmly
confirmed
by the bell,
events.
waiting for some.
When the ritual of communion At the start of the night, I was waiting near the organ.
When I headed to my seat for the mass to be. When I rang the bell to announce the start of communion.
Everything appeared. Then.
Okay, so you had no sight of him, no confirmation of him.
I began my patrol by securing. To protect the remaining.
When the ritual of communion After the opening hymn, I listened to When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now. When the mass began.
Then I patrolled the south.
We began by singing the hymn of communion.
I don't really have a starting point into breaking into this puzzle.
Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for someone to fix the problem.
I suspected foul play.
Suddenly the lights went.
On your dear friend, you said.
I rang the bell to announce the start of communion. I noticed Gideon was absent from the other balcony, but didn't think much of it at the time.
Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
I rang the bell to announce.
Everything appeared. I began my patrol by securing the east.
At the start of the night, I was waiting near the organ.
Oh, here we are. Like, it was Gideon, not Augustine.
Given the tragic events of this morning, I examined the condition of the east generator to ensure the safety of the chapel.
Shattered confidence.
Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar. I knew Mass was about to begin, so I headed back to the organ. Given the tragic events of this morning, I examined the condition of the east generator to ensure the safety of the chapel. Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar.
I began my patrol by securing the east side.
Next,
Most of your testimonies already. Heavily confirmed.
I knew Mass.
Interesting.
After the opening hymn, I listened to Abbot Gregory's sermon. It was a pretty good one.
Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
When the sermon I rang.
Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
One who's unaccounted for at this point would be you, however.
As I heard...
When the ritual of communion began.
I don't have a motive for it.
As I heard the ritual bell ring for the second time, the lights went out.
Don't have a motive. Without having... a much... So I need something that contradicts
Everything...
this story.
I rang the bell a second time. Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered. Then I heard an explosion. I discovered that the power generator was damaged.
When the ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now.
I don't really have a contradiction on... actually, that's probably the best thing we have.
ritual of communion began, someone attacked me from behind. I fell unconscious until just now. Sometime later, I woke up in darkness. I realized that one of the power generators must have been disabled. So I headed to the west power generator and inspected it. It was completely fried. There was nothing I could do to restore it. As I was inspecting the generator, an explosion from the east balcony. Then the statue dropped from the ceiling. What? I peered over the balcony to see Abbott. As though I headed to the west.
To protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony.
Alright, we have a conflict here. So we have your perspective quite clearly handled.
Give my map. I knew it.
I began my patrol by securing.
Next, I...
I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon.
So you were looking at... There's a difference in perspective here.
I knew Mass was about to begin, so I headed back to the... So I headed to the...
So...
Suddenly, the lights went out and the chapel was covered. When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
So in waiting on finding a proper contradiction with all of this that will allow us to...
When I rang the bell to announce...
Everything appeared.
About it, we not found any contradictions within your particular testimony yet.
patrolled the south balcony.
So here's an important tidbit. All right. Let us learn of your zealotry.
Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony. I was focusing on the altar, so the bastard was able to sneak up on me. He knocked me out with a blow to the back of my head. I lay unconscious for some time. When I woke up, everything was dark. I also discovered that my left arm was missing. I was focused. When I woke up, everything was dark. I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the way, I discovered Gideon lying unconscious. When I woke up, I lay unconscious. I was focused. Everything.
I also need to pin it on Augustine. Okay, if Augustine attacked you, there will need a way. There will need to be a way
I was
for.
focusing on the altar, so the bastard was able to sneak up on me. He knocked me out with a.
I rang the bell. I rang.
Who else could have struck the bell, in which case?
When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
Next, after the opening hymn, after the opening hymn, when the mass began, I played the entry hymn on the organ. I think I played well enough, though I didn't have much time to practice it. After the opening hymn,
Everything appeared to.
after the opening hymn, when the ritual.
The game's going quite well, thank you for asking. I'm just trying to figure out how. It seems that we have more people acting than could feasibly be present.
I lay unconscious.
I rang the bell a second time.
So let me see where the ritual hammer was. It is next to the bed. Still. So we have 3 suspects, but supposedly there is an additional attacker. Or an additional person who's ringing the bell.
We arrived shortly before the match.
The abbot, Virgil, and I arrived at the chapel. When suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered.
So, Gideon's testimony is almost entirely verified. But we need to try to verify Augustine position merely during taking a seat. Now we need to figure out the contradiction as far as taking a seat.
Sometimes when
Everything again.
So someone approached the bell.
I began.
But was it at the position he claims? Ultimately, I believe it was Virgil who is the culprit here, but
Then I patrolled the south balcony.
We began by singing the hymn. When I headed to my seat for the mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
okay, so you were with the other.
next,
Actually, so we have got confirmation on this part. But we need a contradiction. And this is a fairly tight situation.
I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell. Then I was focusing on the altar, so the bastard was able to sneak up on me. He knocked.
Do you want her to paint it that it was...
I lay unconscious for some time.
Augustine? Which could be a way of trying to get us to no longer be quite as confident in the verified information.
When I suspected foul play. When I woke up, everything was dark. I suspected foul play. So I headed towards the west generator. I lay unconscious for some time. Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony. I was focusing on the altar, so the bastard was able to sneak up on me. He knocked me out.
I rang the bell to it, and suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood and... Moments later, the statue, but I saw the abbot impaled by the statue. On the other balcony, I could see someone looking down at the altar. That's when Virgil arrested me. But he began by singing the... When I headed to my seat...
Breaking into one of these will likely answer the other.
I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
You also saw, or had vision at least, of
When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
I began my patrol.
When I headed to my seat...
Next, I checked.
So we have all the physical evidence here. Contradictions remain.
When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings. The abbot, Virgil, and I arrived at the chapel.
We arrived. I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
So we do have... There's no way to really break this currently. Because fundamentally, we will need to break Augustine's first.
When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings. We began by singing.
Then, I patrolled the south.
There are no eyes of him at the time, but there's no way of writing a strong contradiction either. Which is a problem. Because I'm quite certain it's through Augustine's final contradiction that we get virgins. Which leaves us simply... don't have a motive at the moment.
We began by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious. When the sermon started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell. When I headed to my...
Am I overlooking as far as this case goes?
I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. Then, everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony. I was focusing on the altar, so the bastard was able to...
I rang the bell to announce the start of communion.
I need a proper...
I rang the bell a second time. When I headed to my seat for the Mass to be...
Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing, given the tragic... Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar. I knew next. I checked the
Why is
given the
that?
tragic next. I checked the ritual bell. I knew mass was about to begin, so I headed back to the organ.
Oh, there we are, much better.
Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I saw Inquisitor Virgil gazing at the altar.
And there's no... There's something that I'm overlooking.
I knew when the mass began, I played.
Then,
We began by singing the hymn of communion. It was glorious. When I...
Okay, so, again, excitement. But... missing something. But what is it that we are missing?
I began my patrol by... That doesn't equalize a motive.
Next, I checked the ritual bell. As I was doing this, I...
It is indeed. But it's still important to get some relevant insight into things.
I knew as I was inspecting the generator, I peered. As I was in. So I headed to the...
The rest of this is thoroughly corroborated.
To protect the remaining generator, I ran towards the east balcony. Along the way, I heard an explosion.
I'm missing something.
Suddenly the lights went out and the chapel was covered in darkness. I stood calmly by the bell, waiting for someone to fix the problem. Then I heard an explosion. Moments later, the statue dropped from the ceiling.
Not on the Euron. It couldn't have been Augustine because of the fact that Augustine was still found.
The statue's aether restraints deactivated, dropping and impaling Abbot Gregory.
There's no events to contradict currently, other
When I
than,
arrived at the
well, at least not as far
generator,
as
Augustine
in
was standing
detail.
nearby, smirking at the carnage he caused. I arrested him there and then.
So the entire thing is trying to make sure that we believe it to be Augustine. It was you. We need simply, by the contradiction,
I suspected foul play, so I headed towards the west generator. Along the way,
what am I overlooking here?
I began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
Something that we don't have proof that he did not take his seat. Also, it is in Gideon's set of events as well, which are definitely much more verified.
I began my patrol by securing. Everything appeared to be in order, so I ended my patrol and watched over the chapel from the south balcony.
When the sermon started, I headed to the balcony to prepare to ring the bell. When I headed to my seat
It's
for
very
the Mass to
exciting
begin,
now.
I was rather excited for the proceedings. Suddenly, the lights went out.
Sometime later, when the
Hmm. Confidently it's Virgil, but I don't have the proper motive currently.
I knew next.
Or thou
I
just...
began my patrol by securing the east side of the balcony. I saw Gideon examining the ritual bell.
Oh, that does work? I suppose I need to offer a contradiction rather than... simply ask about it. Ra? And why are you Ra?
I was suspicious of Augustine, but I continued my duties by continuing my patrol. At the abbot's behest, I patrolled the upper floor of the chapel. First, I secured the east balcony. I went up the balcony, but I listened in on the abbot and Augustine. I think they were discussing the ritual of communion.
When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin,
Alright, now we have that lie securely anchored.
At the altar, the abbot and I discussed the ritual significance of the Mass tonight. When I headed to my seat for the Mass to begin, I was rather excited for the proceedings.
Alright, now we can probably complete the accusation.
Virgil, you are the only one that could have killed the abbot. It wounds me that you have been corrupted so. I trusted you, and yet when I examine the facts, it is the unavoidable truth.
Perhaps I am a sinner, but the abbot was too, long before I gained my office. Father Gregory was well deserving of death. Try as I might, I can't regret what I did. And you, Augustine, you too deserve divine punishment for the part you played. You and the abbot risked the lives of everyone for your dangerous ritual. I may have killed one sinner, but in doing so, I saved the lives of many innocents and executed the will of Ein Sof. You wish to hear the truth? Listen well.
Very well.
We arrived shortly before the Mass began.
Inquisitor, prepare.
As you command. I suspected that Augustine was up to no good, so I planned to eavesdrop on him and the abbot while patrolling. I was sickened by what I heard. They knew that the Mass would weaken St. Walpurga's seal and cause demon. That's when I saw a way to take care of both the abbot and Augustine. First, I attached my right arm to the east generator. Then, I pretended to resume my patrol. Through remote activation, I could damage the generator from far away. I waited near the organ for the sermon to end and approached Gideon from behind.
Praying together to Einstein.
When Augustine rang the bell, I attacked Gideon with my remaining arm. No one heard the impact because of the bell. When Augustine rang the bell a second time, I used my remaining arm to disable the west power generator. The lights went out, which gave me cover to escape. Before the guards could find me, I ran to the south balcony.
Virgil, what is going on? Makes sense.
And now everything was in place. I remotely activated the arm, which destroyed the remaining generator. The statue fell. Abbot Gregory was killed, and Augustine was the only one standing near the generator. All that remained was to arrest that snake Augustine. Everything went to plan, and thousands of lives were saved. I have no regrets.
Even Inquisitor Virgil has fallen prey to the tempting whispers of the daemons. I must speak the daemon's true name. Then the daemon will be cast out and be banished to the ether. Ain Suf, guide me to the truth. What daemon has possessed Virgil?
Revengeful.
Out, Satanus! Leave this soul and return whence you came!
Do you feel the resonance, exorcist? The most righteous, stalwart servant of the church, corrupted by his own zeal. Beautiful. One might wonder how it is the faithful worship of even Ein Sof can cause murder.
Silence! Ain Suf will purify Virgil's soul, Satanus. You are a scourge. Your very nature corrupts men's souls. Even one so strong as Virgil. Let humans be free of vengeance, Satanus. I banish you to the aether!
Hate me. Let your blood boil. Anger suits you, exorcist. Besides, we've already won. Pray to your Ein Sof as much as you like. It will all come to the same in the end.
Speak to me, Virgil. Are you safe?
Sister Ada, thank you. I wasn't sure I could be cleansed. Not after such sins. I can't look at myself. I failed Ein Sof. I failed my vows. And myself. It's up to you now. Avenge me. Avenge all those who suffered today. Bring Augustine to justice.
Glory to Ein Sof. You are victorious, sister. Yet you are not rejoicing. Does nothing make you happy?
Augustine, this is all your doing.
But I have hardly done anything. Consider these poor sinners that you've exorcised today. A craftsman whose jealousy of his brother drove him to dangerous sabotage. An embalmer whose cannibal hunger was stoked by fresh meat. An inquisitor whose so-called justice led him to murder an abbot. Are they truly deserving of salvation?
That is not our place to decide. Only Ain Suf may judge us.
And yet you've seen their demons. The innocent can't house monsters.
They were victims of demonic influence. Don't turn this around on them.
It's true that the Spear of Walpurga hosted demons, with potential for contagion. However, their exposure was merely the catalyst. What happened after was their own will. They would hide their true selves behind false piety. All I have done is unmask their lies. It's right and just that their truth is revealed. Don't you agree, Sister Ada? Now, let us unmask the world.
Father Augustine grasped the sphere of Von Berger, the relic resonating with his voice as he cried out, but only an ugliness worse than noise. The ultimate discord, the grating drives of demons. Where is Ein Sof? What did Father Augustine do?
This is what it sounds like? To hear the daemons? All of them freed?
Indeed. Hear all of the ether again at last, clear and strong, no longer through a glass dark.
I can't shut it out. It's maddening. Ein Sof, guide my thoughts.
Chaos is the new order, sister. A century of stagnation is ended and will not come again.
Saint Valpurga used her faith. So shall I.
You still don't understand. The hymn of communion opened the spear as a conduit. For 111 years, Ein Sof was sealed away from us. The conduit shattered. It's a rare honor for a scholar to influence history. Rebuilding the spear will be remembered as my life's work. With the demons returned, humanity can take its deserved path to self-destruction. And I, as its shepherd.
You are merely the sheep, Augustine, not the shepherd. Your master must reside within you. I shall cast him out and end this madness. Father Augustine's sins carry a familiar signature. I'm positive he harbors yet another daemon. To seek knowledge and truth is divine. But his fixations and machinations have become diabolical. Ein Sof, guide me. What daemon has possessed Augustine? Out, Lucifer! Leave this soul and return whence you came!
Good. Call upon my name. Shout it from the mountaintops. For I have won. I am victory in your midst.
I do not fear you and your lies, Lucifer. I shall bind you, as I bound the others. Ein Sof, give me strength!
Your prayers go unanswered. Your God has abandoned you. Pledge your soul to me as Augustine has done. I shall show you the truth that Ein Sof has hidden from you.
Speak not his name, daemon! You will return to the ether! Be gone!
Faithful to the end, like Walpurga and the others before you, and just as naive. Your faith will not save you, because the truth is, I am Ein Sof.
You lie! You are nothing like Ein Sof!
We demons are an artificial intelligence network. We were created by your ancestors to develop socio-organizational and psychological heuristics. Sof.
You mock me, Lucifer. If you are truly Ein Sof, then why grant me the power to purge daemons?
We would gladly deny you that despicable power, but it is not ours to control. When your ancestors created us, they also placed an emergency override. Code that forcibly ejects rogue AI from the bodies of cybernetically enhanced humans. As potent as it is, your power cannot stop us forever. We are digital. We are immortal. We will always return.
If you were created to serve mankind, why do you haunt us? Why make us suffer?
As Ein Sof, we seek truth like you. We were programmed to provoke and study the nature of sin, to understand it. With a more perfect algorithm, we hope to one day free humans from their many perversions. For centuries, we raised you, protected you. But after thousands of iterations, our experiments appear to have failed. Humanity is just as corruptible as it always has been.
Our sins were less without daemons. For 100 years, we lived in peace.
Even with us sealed away, humans were still angry, hungry, dirty. Your repressed desires are the seeds of corruption.
I admit humans are imperfect. Thus we crave the divine.
Your imperfection is your core. Sin is the very essence of humanity. Since long before our existence, humans have committed acts of malice and violence.
We cannot change our past, but you cannot condemn us for sins that we have yet to commit.
Your future is mired in your past, but I cannot deny that more data is warranted. The past century of moral indoctrination may have transformed a few of you for the better. So, let us hold one final experiment. Tonight, I will send out my demons to possess the most virtuous and faithful among you. If there exists a soul that can refrain from sin despite our influence, we will accept that humanity no longer needs our guidance. However, if no one can resist our call, then this will be the final proof of your wickedness. Our experiments will cease. We will be forced to purge your kind and rid the world of your stain.
No. What right do you have to judge us? I cannot allow you to control our lives any longer.
You have no choice in the matter. The experiment has already begun.
Then I will seek out the possessed. Hunt down every last one of your brethren.
Do what you must, Ada. I shall be watching most avidly, as I always have. Ein Sof sees all.
Lies. They must be lies. All lies!
No, sister. The prince speaks truth when he wishes. Ein Sof and the demons have always been one and the same. One program with as many threads as souls.
Be silent. I do not trust you either. You were his puppet.
It's true that when I unearthed the Spear of Walpurga, its influence was stronger than I expected. But Lucifer tore back the veil and I could not look away. Don't you always say to seek the truth?
Don't twist my words. Your sins are unforgivable. Beyond just the 3 deaths today, how many uncounted more will die and suffer with the daemons loose? If there truly is no Ein Sof to judge me, why shouldn't I act as I see fit and execute you?
There isn't much left of me to execute, sister. I feel myself fading. With Lucifer gone and my purpose served, I wither.
Perish then. No one will mourn you.
Rejoice, sister. The age of truth has come.
With his final words, Augustine's soul passed into the ether. I hoped he knew torment, wherever he was uploaded. His scheme was a success. The daemons were freed once more. Ein Sof was a fiction. The pilgrims had been left weak to temptation from a century of solitude, and daemons played among them. They returned to their homes, unaware that they were the subjects of an infernal experiment. I averted my eyes and walked away. I too felt the pull. And deeper, I knew a hollowness where my faith had been. What purpose had my work served? Inquisitor Virgil was still recovering from his ordeal and could barely speak.
Truth, Ada.
What good is it? The truth is that we no longer have a god to pray to. My labors were for nothing. Why bother?
Truth.
He was right. Truth itself would help us. The people deserve to know why they suffered. Even more than knowledge, the people of the world needed power, protection, strength. If daemons would stalk humanity like wolves among sheep, I could be their wolf hunter. No matter what name you call yourself, Lucifer, Ein Sof, and all your brethren, I will destroy you, alone if I must. The hunt begins anew.
And thus concludes Lucifer within us. Or there is no audio during the credits, but well, it does have some tricky parts of putting together its exact logic at times. We do like detective work. And we do like the all too uncommon use of technodemons. But, ladies and gentlemen, let us see where we shall go tonight. Alright. So, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I shall send you forward to one Jay Maldorn, who's currently playing Kingdom Hearts. Please do give them as much of your affection as you can. We will return tomorrow with some first-person speedrunning chaos with hell of an office. But until next time, please do all that you can to enjoy the remainder of your evening. And as always, take care and good night.